All right, for the bell ringer today, I ask you to simplify the radical, the square root of 50. And so you could have looked at this a couple different ways. One way is if it's a smaller number, you can look at what are two things that multiply to 50 and which one is a perfect square. If that is something that you couldn't see right off, you could create a factor tree. So for example, 5 times 10 gives me 50. We can't reduce 5, so we drop that down. And then 2 factors of 10 would be 5 times 2. All right, so 5 times 2 is still 50. This is my factor tree at the very bottom. And so what you look at here is, since my index here is a 2, there's not a 2 there, it's automatically assumed to be a square root. You're looking for pairs, so in groups of 2. So I have 5 times 5, which if we thought about that, that would be 25. That is a perfect square. And so the square root of 25 is just one single 5 here. We can't do anything with the 2, so we leave that inside the radical. So 5 square root 2. So remember yesterday I told you that you could also check this. So 5 square root 2 gives me a decimal. And your original radical of square root of 50, it better give you the exact same decimal. If it does not, those are wrong. So today we're going to look at doing something a little bit easier as far as using our calculator to get the answer for us. So let's look at the square root of 147. So this may be one that you don't know a perfect square right off. You might be kind of racking your brain on what are some factors of 147 to create your factor tree. But we're going to use our calculator to do this really easy for us. So go to y equals here. And so we're going to take what is inside the radical, which is 147. And we're going to hit divide, and we're going to do x squared. We're going to do squared because it is a square root, so whatever your index is. And so we're going to go to second graph. We want to look at the table, so second graph. And as you look through here, we want to scroll down until you see the first 0 point something in the y column. So here I have 0.86. So what I want to do from this 0 point something is we're going to go up. So I have 7 and 3. So the way that we would read this is 7 square root 3. You cannot reduce 3 anymore. There are no factors other than 1 and 3. So that is perfect. We could check our decimals as well, and it is going to be that. You may see that some of them may have other numbers. This one does not, but you always want to go down to where it is your first 0 point something. So now I have the square root of 48. So let's go back to y equals. And we're going to do 48 divided by x. It's a square root, so squared. Second graph. And so this is an example where I have multiple ones here. I have 2, 12, 4, 3. Which one it is. So I want to go down to where I have a 0 point something and go up to the first whole number here. So 4 square root 3 would be my correct answer. If for some reason you had chose this 2 square root 12, the reason that this one is not the answer is because you could reduce this one as well. The factors of this would be 4 and 3, and you could take the square root of 4. So that is why that one is not the correct answer, and the 4 square root 3 is the correct answer. So I'm going to give you just a minute, and I want you to attempt number 3. So I told you to attempt this one, and so one thing I wanted you to look at here, we could have created a factor tree for this one. However, let's go, and we're not going to put the 5 in there. We're just going to do the 175 here. So let's clear this out. 175 divided by x squared. I want to go to my table. All right, so I could scroll down here. I see 5 and 7. I'm going to assume that that's probably the only one. Now it's going to be slow. All right, so see how I have a 0 point something? I go up to my first whole number, which is the 7. So 5 square root 7 here would be your final answer there, except I have this 5 that's already out there. So if I have two things on the outside, I do want to multiply those. So 5 times 5 gives me 25, and you are left with the square root of 7. This is a perfect example to check your decimals. All right, so let's check it. I have 5 of 175, and that gives me a decimal here of 66.14. We said that our answer is 25 square root 7. So 25 square root 7 gives me the same decimal. I cannot factor 7 anymore, so that's my final answer.